Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to this overview tonight. We are so excited. We've been going all day long today, talking to pastors and churches all over the country, and it has been an incredible journey. And so tonight we end with our 7 o'clock p.m. Save and Serve presentation. To those of you who are here, I want to welcome you. I want to encourage you to get a pen and piece of paper. My co-host is coming in now, but we have just been talking to incredible pastors, church leaders, and nonprofits about this program that is, I am so excited about because I believe it is a special time for us to make sure that ministry has the resources they need to be able to bless more and more people. So I'll take a minute. If you'd like to introduce yourself, please feel free to say hello and where you're calling from, what state, and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Amanda from Maryland.
Yeah, Amanda, welcome.
Ted Moore, Chicago.
Hey, Ted, how you doing?
Pastor Boyd, Washington, D.C.
Awesome,
Hello,
champ.
Pastor Boyd.
Aisha Craig from Maryland, Mount Pleasant AME Church.
Hey, Mount Pleasant in the house.
And this is Adrienne Warren from Mount Pleasant as well.
Hello, Adrienne.
Hi, good evening.
How are you?
Hello,
Good evening,
this is
everyone.
Melissa Williams, also from Mount Pleasant. Good evening, everyone.
Hello, welcome everybody. And no, go ahead. I think I got somebody in.
Mike from Maryland.
Hey, Mike, how are you? And so I want to welcome everybody tonight, but I have to give a big shout out to I think I'm her co-host today. Like I think I've been rolling with her because we just I got to spend some time with the Reverend Dr. Diane Johnson, head pastor for the Mount Pleasant AME Church in Owings Mills, Maryland, and I just finished spending some time with her at the Second District 75th Annual Conference for the AME Church, and we are here to educate. And I thank you, Reverend Diane, for just spending the day. I know you are busy, and you have been on 3 of these calls, and I know your schedule is serious. I know God is in that schedule. So thank you for coming and joining us tonight. I'd love for you to kick us off just because we have other ministry leaders, church leaders here tonight. And as we, we're going to use some of these recordings and share. And we're going to do this again. A lot of folks have been texting me about our timing. We are going to do this again next Monday, but we're not going to wait till next Monday because there is an incredible timeline that will allow us to do some incredible things over the next 4 weeks to help all of the churches do anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 in the Baltimore, Maryland area. So we're going to be very intentional about this. And so, Reverend Johnson, welcome back tonight. You picked up the grandbaby. You came back. We've been going. So I just love for you to just welcome folks in and just kind of share your perspective and tell a little bit about who you are for those who don't know you.
Good evening, everyone. Again, I am Diane Johnson. I'm the pastor of Mount Pleasant AME Church in Owings Mills, Maryland, and that's in Baltimore County. But I'm also a civic-minded, community-minded person who wants the best for our community. And I began this journey because I wanted to put panels on our church, solar panels on our church, so that we could reduce our own electrical costs for the church. And then we decided, well, we could put panels, standalone panels. We have a cemetery, and that would help the persons in the pews reduce their costs. And then we happen to have 2 lots of former members left, and we were trying to think how we could cut down trees and level land and be able to benefit the community by providing them access to those panels, and they would have reduced costs. So that was the church itself, the members of the church, and the community. And then we found out from our elected officials that we would not be able to have a solar farm because there's a limited number of projects that's allowed per county, and Baltimore County had reached its max. And then along came this program, which says, oh, you don't need panels. The state has panels, and if all we need is subscribers, and if we have subscribers that subscribe to the state's solar farms, then we can do the same benefits to your church, for your members, and for the community. And so that made me excited because I know that the cost of energy is going up. June 1st, I do believe, in our area. And so how can we help our community be sustained and thrive in this climate that we have? And so after I listened to I've listened to this proposal, this project, probably 5 or 6 times or 10 to try to get understanding. Because when I don't want to have to be the person to explain it, but I want to be the person who understands it so that I can help other persons direct them to a proper source. And I think the proper source is you, Mr. Weems, and Linda Washington, who represent Think Plus or Think Energy. And tonight, I'm prayerful that persons will hear the presentation, ask the questions that would keep them from engaging, and then making a decision to sign up. Number one, to help themselves. Number one, to perhaps help their church. And number two, perhaps to help their community as they understand and they begin to tell people about what this program is. And so that's who I am. I am just a servant of the Lord trying to tell somebody about a project that I think will help everybody. Oh, I think we'll make a
Yeah,
song.
I like that. I'm gonna take that one from you. No, but thank you so much. Thank you for your time and your leadership. And my name is Julius Weems. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. Grew up in Lexington Terrace and Murphy Homes many years ago. But growing up, my mother was a pastor for Jericho Community Baptist Church, and so I have been around churches. I have 9 pastors in my family, and I have seen the dedication, the hard work that it takes to keep ministry alive and going and successful. Um, Fast forward, my mother would have loved for me to become a pastor. I became an engineer instead. And so I said, Mom, I'm going to minister, but I'm going to do it inside of Fortune 10 companies. And I've been blessed to be able to advise some of the largest companies around the world. And about 10 years ago, I got involved in energy, and the industry was much different then. And but I began to always look at how can we help ministry. And I remember my mother always said is that I don't let anything in my doors, and unless I know my members can be safe. And so I'm excited to share something tonight. And for the last 2 years, I've been a part of this company, but the last year, my focus has been on the program I'm going to share with you, because my vision is that how can we allow, all of these big corporate companies to take this revenue and do all these things, and our churches suffer. And I believe that there is a way to be able to make sure that our churches have the resources they need to be successful. And so I'm not going to take much of your time. I will. One of our questions from the last call was the sign up process, Pastor Diane. And so I have a whole video on that, every single page, every single step. Any question, and here's what I love. Reverend Johnson, literally, she just points and asks questions and say, "Hey, look, show me this and this." And my goal is to educate so that there is a comfort in our community, because I'm watching other communities around the Maryland area that are literally just loading their communities in at thousands of members at a time. And I just want us to make sure that we have what we need to move forward. And so let me go ahead and jump in. If you have questions during the presentation, I want you to feel free to ask them. What I would ask is that you go ahead and type them in the chat, or we'll have a Q&A at the end. But I know I'm going to share some different things at different stages. And if you have a question, I'm going to make sure you don't forget it. So feel free to just put it in the chat. Feel free. And then what we'll do at the end, we will go through any questions you have. We've been presenting to churches all over the country. There is a program that's happening in Maryland in the BG&E market in Pepco area right now that I want to make sure that we maximize as much as possible. So let's jump right in. So Think Plus, powered by Think Energy, is a retail energy company that is also a provider of a federal program that allows us to give solar energy to everybody in your church. They don't need to own a home. They don't need to. They don't need to own any. They don't need any solar panels. And the program has been around for 2 years, but we have learned that people have not been signing up for it. So Governor Wes Morris came in and he took the resources from the federal government, and he says, look, Maryland is going to be ahead of this program. We're going to create 65 very large solar farms that are spread across the state. And all we need Marylanders to do is to subscribe. And so the program is actually in 13 states around the country. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about Maryland. I will show a map for everybody to take a snapshot of because we can share this with people outside, but we're talking about our members. And so the company had this program that community solar is what we're calling it. And I just want to make sure when I say solar, everybody's going to ask, hey, do I need panels? You do not need panels. This is solar without panels on your roof, and you don't even need to own a roof. And so what I thought about was how can this program benefit churches and nonprofits? And when I began to talk to churches, one of the things that I saw was, and let me just meet everybody out real quick. And so when I began to talk to churches in my communities around the country, it was always this hesitation either from the pastor, hesitation from, I usually have 3 or 4 conversations. If it's the pastor, then the pastor's trusted lieutenants or armor bearers or financial board, and then the members. And people shared all kinds of things with me. They shared years ago had signed up for things and their bills went up, and they thought their bill would go down. It was a discount for a few months and it changed. And so I got to hear a lot about what people had gone through already. And so the exercise was, look, let's just educate and help people get their questions answered, because we're not here to let your bills go up, but we actually can guarantee that your bill stays down. And we can do it not just because I say so, but because it's written into law in the state. And so that program, as I created this program, Save and Serve, to truly allow your members to save on their energy costs. In Maryland right now, on June 1st, many of your bills are going to go up about 20%. The state has released, Pepco and BG&E have released their rates for June, and it'll be the largest rates we've seen in almost 20 years. And so we know that's happening, and there's something we can really do about it, not just talk about it. And so my vision is to help 10,000 churches around the country be able to produce a continuous income into the church so that they don't have to worry about how they're going to achieve ministry, pay off mortgages, and do many of the things they want to do. And so this program is available for nonprofits, faith organizations. We work with townships. We're working with mayors in different states and small cities to be able to help them take advantage of this for their members. Think Energy is a company we were actually founded on the premise of we were going to be we were invested $100 million worth invested in our company to do just that, go out and educate and help the federal government fill up solar farms. How do we help people know this is here, and how do we help people understand it's here? And so, when I saw that, I said, well, that makes sense. And initially, I'm going to be honest, I said, oh, I ran to my pastor friends. I ran to them and said, hey, look, this is $7.9 billion that's been spent. And literally, if you live in the state and in one of the states that this is in, every one of your members gets a 20-year savings on their energy bill. And I thought it would be a very simple exercise, but as you all know, we people are skeptical, and they have the right to be. And so now it's how do we make sure we don't miss something that's available to us, because this benefit may not be here as fast, as long, because others are using it and filling up these farms. So let's get into the details of what Save and Serve is. So the members of the church sign their energy up. They're not leaving BG&E or Pepco. They're not leaving their utility company, but they're going to save between 5 and 25% of their energy bill for 20 years by subscribing to a solar farm in their state. When they do that, it generates a donation, a payment to the church when they sign up, and for the next 5 years, every single month. So imagine somebody may not be able to give additional offering. Somebody may not be able to give a special offering, and somebody may not be able to do as much in tithes and offerings due to different circumstances. But if they became a customer and just saved on their own energy bill, it would actually help the church every month. And my vision is for churches that are 100 or 200 or 300 or 1,000, that even if you have a small church, you could, in the community around the church, people actually benefit from this program, so they can actually sign up. When I was younger, we did things like I think before pre-pandemic. I mean, we were selling dinners after service. We had bake sales, car washes. We did all kinds of things to raise funds for youth ministry, to raise funds for the men's group, and for parking lot repaving and all these things. And so for the additional funds from this program, we call it the Community Energy Program, can be used for specific things in the church. So let's talk about the program and why it was created. So the federal government, it created the Inflation Reduction Act, and a part of that, $7.9 billion of that, was used to figure out, because we are using so much more energy now with electric cars, the computing power required for artificial intelligence is using so much energy, and so how do we offset some of the federal costs, right? They calculated that for every 5 million people that subscribe to a solar farm in one of these states, it'll save the country about $1 billion. And so the states then came and got their money, built their solar farms, and now within 13 states, you can subscribe to a solar farm and get and earn a discount every single month. And you don't have to worry about it because it's guaranteed by state law. It's not a company saying, "Oh, you can get a discount for a little while." And I love how one of my partners describes it. He says, "Hey, imagine your BG&E and your Pepco bill coming for one of your members, and they can actually you have a little store at your church, and they could have their bill's $300, and then they can take it over to the store at the church, and you can they can get a 10 or 25% discount on their energy. So instead of paying the $200 or $300, they only have to pay $270." He says it's kind of like that. He says because this is a 20-year discount for every member in your church. And so for them saving, they get to serve the ministry. And that's the power of what we're talking about. I know that many people have not heard about the program. People are learning about the program and what it is after 2 years of it being around. And so my goal is that I want the program to come through churches, and I want it to come through nonprofits, because your work is to help the community. And I said, man, what an incredible place. So I'm going to show you a brief video on how it works. It will show you how community solar is working in the state of Maryland and the other states that we are in. So I'm going to just switch screens for a moment, and let's look at this 2-minute video that explain how this program works.
Solar power is becoming more and more popular, and it's easy to see why. Not only is it a clean, renewable source of energy, solar power can actually save you money on your energy costs. But did you know that you don't have to buy and install solar panels to experience these benefits? That's where Community Solar comes in. Community Solar is a state-run program providing an easy way for you to enjoy the benefits of solar without the investment or hassle of installing panels and equipment. Through Think Community Solar, you can subscribe to a local solar farm in your community and receive a solar credit that reduces what you owe to the utility each month. Think Community Solar is available in eligible states to all who pay an electric bill, including renters, homeowners, and businesses. There's no need to own property, no installation required, no upfront costs, and no long-term commitment or termination fees. Just 5 to 10% savings off the solar credits you receive each and every month. Here's how it works. Solar developers build community solar farms in places like commercial building rooftops, parking lots, empty fields, or even landfills. Next, the solar power generated flows to the local electricity grid. Then, customers subscribe to Think Community Solar to reserve a portion of the solar credits generated by the solar farm. This reduces what they owe to the utility each month. Finally, customers receive a monthly solar credit on their utility bill for the electricity produced, and will save up to 10% on the solar credits received for up to 20 years. You simply sign up in a few minutes and start saving money on your energy bills as soon as you are connected to an available solar farm in your area. By providing clean energy jobs and paying local taxes, community solar farms help boost the local economy. And by reducing our reliance on fossil fuels, we can protect precious resources like our air, water, and wildlife. Plus, through our partnership with One Tribe, for every customer who enrolls, we are protecting 50 trees in rainforests threatened by deforestation. This means your choice contributes to cleaner air and a healthier climate, while benefiting the people and wildlife that call the rainforest their home. So if you're interested in supporting a cleaner environment, saving money on your energy costs, and supporting your local community, we invite you to sign up today. It's an easy and rewarding way to make a positive shift for yourself and the world we share. Welcome to Think Community Solar.
And so that was just a quick look. I'm actually going to put the link to that just so many people always want to know after the presentation, how does that work? So I'm actually putting a link to that video in the chat as we continue so you can actually have that. But let's get into some of the details of how it works, okay? Because let me ask on the call, I'm gonna ask a question, a little bit more participation tonight. If you got your energy bill and you went to church on Sunday and they had a coupon for 10% off your bill every month, would you take it? And they had them at the door when you got your program, you had a coupon off your bill every month. Wouldn't that be pretty exciting to give to your members every month? Now, look, I had one pastor get on a call and say, hey, look, if they're getting 10% off their energy bill, that tithes and offerings is 10%, right? So one pastor was like, oh, that opens the door so folks can give more. And on a serious note, we have a lot of folks who would love to give more to their church, to their nonprofit. They would love to. And by saving, they're going to actually be able to do that. We're going to talk about the serve part of the presentation in a moment. But this first portion is about how we help the member. And so here are all the states that we're currently in. You can actually see that these are the active states. Active states just mean states that have actually passed their laws to have community solar. You see the states here that have legislation pending. You can type in a state's name and type in community solar in Google, and you'll see their program. So you can see that this program is a real program that exists in the state. States that are coming up are here next. Once you're on a solar farm, you're on that solar farm for 20 to 25 years. In Maryland was very aggressive to want to impact people's lives. So in Maryland, it's a 25-year program. So when you subscribe to a solar farm, it's a 25-year program, but you're not in a contract and there's no cancellation fee if you leave. So that's where pastors can feel like, okay, my members are safe. Because that was something that I remember, my mother and the other pastors in my family were always like, people want to bring things to the church, but we have to scrutinize them for safety to make sure that members wouldn't be hurt by them. And that's the exciting part of this for me is that I know I can help somebody. I know I can go to a church of 1,000 people and be able to help them lower their costs. And so how it works is in the video, you saw this, that there are solar farms around the state. Those solar farms generate electricity that's sold back on the grid to BG&E and Pepco. Then we as subscribers, we subscribe to a solar farm and we get that discounted solar energy. Solar energy is the cheapest energy you can get. And then we get a credit on our bill from that solar farm every single month. So every month you're going to get that credit that will be, depending on the state that you're in, it'll be between 5 and 25%. And we'll talk about that in a moment and the difference there. And so the question really is, why aren't you on a solar farm? Why aren't your members? Because your members, if they live in the state, they've already paid for this program. This is a state-funded program with state dollars. So if you live in the state, you already are paying for it. You're just not getting the benefit from it. So the goal is to just inform your members so that they can actually take advantage of it. And we believe that doing it through the church and as a partnership with the church is the best way to do it. It's a guaranteed savings for 20 to 25 years. There's no rooftop required. It's free to enroll. You can cancel at any time and renters qualify. I tell people to take a picture of this slide so you can be really clear on what the value is to your member. I used to have a slide in there would say, why is it so important? And I think it would say, you don't have to worry about your members being hurt or prices going up because this is a percentage off their bill. It does not matter what their rates are because we know that the rate that BG&E is going to charge is going up June 1st. But we're going to take 10% off that bill every single month. For those who are low to moderate income, it's 25%. So for a church that has 100 members, the cumulative savings over 20 years is over $400,000. For a church that has 1,000 members, that cumulative collective saving is over $4 million, and for 10,000 members, over $40 million. In 2024, we actually supported One Tribe. One Tribe was a nonprofit that we partnered with, and for every customer, we protected 50 trees in rainforests around the world. Well, as a leadership group, we went to the company and we wanted to see how could we use that money to bring back into our community. How could we use those resources to bring them back into neighborhoods like that are in Baltimore, that are in Prince George's County, that are in Washington, D.C. And so in 2025, we started a program called Think Local, where for every customer that comes into Think Energy, they give away $10 in Think Local, cash. So it's like it's money that the company gives to nonprofits. It gives to nonprofits around the state. I'm excited to say one of the first Think Local events was just this weekend for our team members here in Maryland. One of our team members runs an incredible nonprofit called the Solid Foundation. So Think Local says this is in addition to what we do for the members in the church, and we'll talk about the financial benefit to the church in a moment. The company funds campaigns for nonprofits and for every single customer and member that joins. The second value that I'm going to share with you for your members is something that has been released. We are the first company in the country to release it. It is an innovation that has never happened in the energy industry. I'm going to share a video with you, and this is, one of the reasons why, I've been running a consulting firm for 25 years. I've been involved in many different businesses, but the church has always been my heart. And when I saw this program released, I said, if pastors, ministers, nonprofit leaders if community solar, if 25 years off community solar wasn't enough for them to say, I'm ready. Autosave is without a doubt going to be the most powerful impact to people in your congregation, because I'm going to share this video, but it is the first time we can actually again guarantee somebody's savings, not just for 25 years, but we can guarantee their savings forever. And let me share with you a short video of Autosave, which we launched last week, and is without a doubt just a powerful moment in time for us to impact people's lives.
Welcome to Autosave, the easiest way to save money on electricity automatically. No more shopping around, no fees, no risk, just long-term savings. Everyone uses energy differently, yet most people pay the same price. At the end, I believe you should be rewarded for being a smart energy user. With Autosave, your energy rate is personalized just for you. Here's how it works. You sign up for Autosave. Think Energy calculates your personalized energy rate based on your electricity usage patterns. Then, we compare your personalized rate to the utility's standard service rate. If we can save you money, we do. If not, you're with the utility until we can. And as you can see, over time, your savings can really add up. No effort, no risk, just long-term savings. Up to 10% off when your Think Energy rate is lower than the utility's current rate. And you'll always know what's happening. We actively monitor your savings potential and notify you when your energy supply changes. Still the same utility, still the same bill, just long-term savings, with no interruption to your service. And remember, you'll never pay more than the utility. And if somehow you do, we will refund you the difference in the next month, automatically. That's Autosave, an energy rate personalized just for you. No fees, no stress, no risk, just long-term savings, automatically.
Well, that is autosave, and I'm going to go ahead and put that link in the chat as well, so that if you want to take a look back at that. But let me explain it. Let me break that down even to a much simpler view for everybody, because I grew up. I went to Lexington Terrace Elementary, so I'm a real simple guy. I like to keep it easy. And so, what I want to do is share this is that when I was growing up, my dad, I'll never forget, probably about 10, 20 years ago, BG&E prices went up really high. Like I remember it because my dad isn't really not a loud guy, and he's 85 years old now. But I remember that it was one point where rates had went up really bad. My dad was screaming about our energy bill, and you know we just had to pay it. And then fast forward, we had a lot of companies come in and were knocking on our doors and telling us they could save us money, and then they didn't. We would save money for a little bit, and then we would go into variable rates, and then your bill went up through the roof. And so then you say, oh well, let me just go back to the utility because at least I know what that's going to be. And that's how we've all existed. Why autosave is so incredible is because we are like getting licensed in every state that we're in to say, well, um, Reverend Johnson, if BG&E is this rate per kilowatt, right? Because most of us don't even know kilowatts. We just know the bill's bigger. But let's just say BG&E is going to go up to 14 cents a kilowatt on June 1st, and it'll be very high for everybody. And then what will happen is that let's just say Think Energy's rate is at 11 cents a kilowatt. Before, I would tell you to join Think. I would say join Think Energy, and because the rate's lower. But autosave does this. It says, well, Reverend Johnson, right now we're at 11 cents. We're gonna put you on Think Energy. But let's just say in August, BG&E goes down to 9 cents. We're gonna automatically switch you to BG&E. So what's autosave is literally a technology where we are going to always make sure you have the cheapest rate. And if you don't, if for whatever reason that we didn't switch you quick enough, we're going to pay you the following month the difference of whatever that discount should have been. But what autosave is the first time in history that I can walk into a church with 10,000 members and say, with autosave, every member in this church will save every month forever, because we're always going to put you, either you're going to be with BG&E and Pepco or you're going to be with Think. Whoever has the cheaper rate every single month, and that switch can happen every month, so you always have the lowest rate. And that is, my seniors are close to my heart, because I used to do a program called Adopt a Senior in my previous energy company. We would work with us to get free energy for a senior. But now I can always make sure that my 85-year-old dad in Catonsville is always in the best position. So with Community Solar, which is a guaranteed savings program for 20 years in the state, and with AutoSave, Save and Serve, this program that I really wanted to touch lives with, we can do that. And so what I'm going to share with you, I'm going to jump forward a little bit to really talk about what happens to the church. What does the church get as the members sign up? That's the serve part of the presentation. And so write a note. It's always free for the member. It is always free for the member. There's never a cost for the member. And because we don't want the church, we're trying to help the church earn additional resources for its ministry. We don't want it to be expensive for the church. And I'm going to show you how this works. So it's $59 for the church to set up itself one time as an affiliate. That's $59 for the year. There's no monthly fees or anything else. Once the church signs up 1 or 2 members, it'll make that back. Okay. So after the first year, it's $149 a year. And so that is the church will get a website with the church's name on it. We'll be able to have, for the financial leaders in the church, to be able to log in and see how many members are saving on the program, because I always love when you do your financial meeting. I always love where churches can go in and say, we have 100 members that are saving for 20 years on their energy, and we have been able to raise $10,000 by helping them. And so then we have it where for your bulletin, for your announcements on Sunday, we can have a QR code up on the screen, and we'll also have an 800 number where your members can sign, scan, go right to the website, or call the 800 number, and somebody will answer the phone and actually know that they're from calling from your church, answer any of their questions, and walk them through the sign up process. And so that is just an incredible piece that Think is offering, and that is $59 for the year and no more. And the church with 2 members becoming customers will make that back. So let's talk about the real power here, and we'll jump into the power of what I call the community energy program, because I always say, look, let's wrap this around a mission. And so for many churches, I say, even if you're a small church, 50 members, let's go help members in the community around the church be able to save, and they can sign up for this as well. It is truly a win and a win for the community organization and the local environment around the church. So let's talk about the numbers. And so for electricity, when a member signs up, it's $20 plus residual every single month. Auto save residuals every single month forever, as long as they pay electric bill. People said please don't say forever, but as long as they pay an electric bill, auto save will always make sure they're in the lowest price utility versus us, and then you will get a residual check every month. On community solar, it's going to be $30 to $50, depending on if they're a standard customer or they're low to moderate income. And I'm going to talk about that for a moment. We have members in your church that are all of the members in your church can sign up and be a customer, and they will get, in each state there's a different discount based on the state. In Maryland right now, and it's 10% for 25 years. For low to moderate income families, families that get Section 8, families that get food stamps, seniors that are on Medicaid, or folks that are on Medicaid. But if you get any state benefit, your savings is 25% for 25 years. Now, that is so powerful because most folks who are getting energy assistance, even if you get energy assistance, you can qualify for this. And so for all of your low to moderate income families that qualify, they will actually get a 25% discount for 25 years, and the church will get $50 for every one of those. That is during a standard time. Now, right now, we have partnered with a solar farm developer with the state that is trying to fill up a solar farm to activate it, that has 750 low to moderate income slots on that farm. And that solar farm is in Maryland, and it's for BG&E and Pepco customers. So they're looking to fill that up over the next 4 weeks. When we go and talk to these developers that have been approved by the state, they've not been able to fill that farm up, and so they come to us, and so they did. And so right now, for the next 4 weeks, we will be instead of $50 for low to moderate income families, the initial donation back to the church will be $200 for each one of those members, and the residual will still be 5 years. And so my vision is that we can go help 50 members in your church, and then we can have a check for $10,000 in the next 2 weeks, just for helping your members. And so that is really, we've been doing calls all day today, and I've been talking to pastors all over Maryland, because if it's 100, that's $20,000 into your church in the next 4 weeks, just by helping people that are paying a bill. And so our vision is to step out and go and bless as many people as we can. And by doing that, we're going to be able to really change some lives. And so I want to go into this, the residual part of this briefly, and just share that with 100 members, I use 100 members. So imagine you have a church with 100 members, and I'm going to just talk without the promotion that's happening right now for low to moderate income families. Let's say everybody in church, it'll be $35 if they're not a low to moderate income member, have that qualification. So you would make $3,500 the following Friday. Residual would then be paid $3,500 to $6,000 each month to the church, and then there's a milestone bonus of $700. And so the total funds would be between $7,700 and $10,000. Now you have a church with 100 members. Remember, you can also invite people, families in the community to join the church's program. You can also invite other churches to join the church's program, because if you're raising funds, now we're inviting other churches to take this benefit to their membership, because we can help other people and they can all roll under your church. And so we have churches that have invited other churches to the program. So your 100 member, your 100, your 100 becomes 1,000, and now your enrollments are much higher. And so the idea is that we just want to educate people. And um, Reverend Johnson knows that we do a lot of that for you. We don't want you to go. We don't want pastors in the pulpit talking about the community energy program. I would like them to say this is something we're doing, but you can talk to Sister Beverly after service. She'll have your frequently asked questions and educate you on it. But we're going to help a whole lot of people, and I encourage my pastors to assign somebody to this community energy program for their church. And we work with them, we educate them. But even if you don't have a resource to do that, you'll have an 800 number that folks can call, get all their questions answered, and then begin to sign up and join, in making it a very seamless process. And so I will talk briefly the what we're doing the next 4 weeks in Maryland. It is for all low to moderate income families. It is 25% off for 25 years. And then for the organization, church or nonprofit, it would be a $200 sign up plus residual for 5 years. And my vision is that I want to help 10,000 churches in the next 4 weeks. If I had enough slots, we only have 750 slots on these farms, but I would love for all the churches I'm working with to have an additional donation of $10,000 or $20,000 to continue the work they're doing. We have churches that are trying to pay off mortgages. We have churches that are trying to help more people find jobs. And in this area, we've had 120,000 federal employees laid off. We have people that are going through a lot. And so, my vision is that we can use this to be able to help people that need it. And so I want to open up for questions now. And let's see if we have any in the chat.
Yeah, you have a few in the chat.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. Let's scroll up. Okay, let's see. Let's go. All right, let me go down here. Is there a subscription fee? There is not a subscription fee for the program. It is program is free to sign up. How do you pitch the service? You don't pitch the service. What we do is that for churches that we work with, we either have it where, like Pastor Wilson out of New Jersey, he had me do a Zoom for his leadership team, and then we had one or two people that I talked to that we shared the program, and we did flyers. There's flyers made up with the church's website automatically already programmed into the back office. And then we do what we call sign up Sundays. And on sign up Sundays, we have a table set up. We have people bring their bill, and we let them know that we have a state program that can benefit them as well. Is the percentage based on the size of the bill? No, the percentage is based on the law in the state. So if somebody is not standard savings in Maryland is 10% for 25 years. It'll be 10% off the bill. It doesn't matter what the size of the bill. It doesn't matter what kilowatt they're paying. We even do small businesses. So if your members have small businesses as well, if they're low to moderate income families, it's 25% off of the bill. So it's a percentage off the bill. Dr. Voigt, great question. Thank you. Will you receive 1 or 2 statements in the mail or online when you're enrolled? Now, when you become enrolled, you will, in Maryland today, you will receive, let's just say your BG&E bill or Pepco bill is $200. On your bill, it's $200. It shows your energy usage, it shows your delivery, and it shows all your taxes. When you get onto a solar farm, your electrical part of your bill, okay, is going to be generated by that solar farm. So your Pepco bill is actually, your Pepco statement is going to go down, and it's going to be just a few taxes but you are going to get a solar farm bill. The solar farm bill is going to be 200 minus your 10%. And so in that bill, you will have two bills for a short time this year. The state of Maryland is in the process of unifying their billing process. So what will happen is in the next 3 to 4 months, you will just get one bill. You'll get your Pepco bill. It'll say your community solar discount is here, and you'll pay it all on one bill. The state has January 1st, the state released a public article saying they were going to unified billing. We were hoping it was done by the first quarter, but it is something that we'll see this year. But until then, you will get a separate statement from your solar from the solar farm you're on, and with a discount on it. Also, it's just like with somebody who would get solar panels on their roof, which we don't have to do. But that will come. That bill will come via email and snail mail, so it'll be both. When you see statement in mail, the ministry is the only one who will pay the monthly. There is no monthly fee. I want to be really clear on that. There is no monthly fee. The $59 is one time per year, so there's no monthly fee for the ministry. That yes, and the ministry is the only ones that pay that fee. That is for the websites to be up, so every customer who clicks on the link and signs up, you will actually see a record. You could literally have a detailed statement of every customer, which program they signed up for, and you'll also see how much the church was earned from each customer signing up. So that is something that'll be there as well. What if we hosted? We hosted a workshop. Yes, I host workshops. I think I had one church bring 175 people onto a Zoom, and we had a workshop. And I've also been to a church down in District Heights where on Sunday they gave me a few minutes to explain the program, and they had the video up. And I don't have to come to you. Look, I know that on Sunday churches are trying to get a lot done, and so, but that is something that I have done and our leaders have done in Maryland. Can you explain why a credit card is needed during sign up? Great question. And so until right now, think of it this way: it's a credit card or a debit card. I want to be clear. Somebody asked me the other day. They said, "Well, a lot of my folks that are low to moderate income don't have credit cards," and so it is a credit card or debit card. And here's the reason why: until the state takes over the billing part of this, where you have one bill, where you have one Pepco bill and one BG&E bill, the developer of the farm that's been approved by the state is responsible for the farm and the payments to the farm. Well, they're not a BG&E and they're not a Pepco. And so what they do is when you sign up, they ask you to put a debit card to reserve your spot, because that farm can't turn on until it's 90% full. And so they reserve your spot. And then 30 days before you start on that farm, they're gonna say, hey, look, you're gonna be assigned to a farm, and they're gonna ask you how you pay your bill. Now, that farm doesn't care if you change how you want to pay your bill 50 times. You could say change it as much as you want. It's just that during your billing cycle, they want a payment method on file. Okay, so I have people that you can change it every month, but for right now, that is how the solar credits, that solar farm is responsible for making those payments. When you're unified billing, now it'll go back to the utility. And so, some of you have plans set up, payment plans and everything like that. And those still will be there. But when it comes to your solar part of your bill, so if you have it for gas, when it comes to the solar part of your bill, you will need to have some type of payment method on that solar credit. So think of it this way: you're getting a 10% discount for 25 years. And for right now, you will have to have some type of payment method on it. In the future, by the end of the year, you won't have to, because all of it will roll back to your utility once Maryland gets their unified billing back in order. Similar to New Jersey. New Jersey is a unified billing state now, but it wasn't before. So it's just the state moves a little slower technically to get everything set up. But that's the reason why there's a debit card and credit card needed when you sign up for that, because that solar farm is still responsible for the billing. All right. Any other questions? And are there any other questions? You can unmute. I'm happy to answer any other questions that folks have. Reverend Johnson, was there any other questions?
I wanted to go back to the credit card question.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you could just give an example. For instance, if I have a cost of my electricity is $100, and it's going to be billed
Mhm.
by the solar farm.
Yes. So
All
it's not
right,
a so
and
so
they're
what it
going to
will
bill
look
me
like.
80. Go ahead.
They're gonna yes, that is exactly it. I want to pull something up. I'm seeing if I can find it. Do I have? I know Latasha Carpenter didn't come on, but I'm gonna send a picture of this, and I don't have it handy, but it's a picture. So if I had a BG&E bill right now, you get a BG&E bill. That BG&E bill is $200. Okay. So the usage, your energy supply costs on that bill is $100. Okay. The other part is delivery. Okay. Then you got taxes. When you get it from the solar farm, you don't have to pay those taxes. So what happens is your BG&E bill may go all the way down to about $20 to $50. So once you sign up for community solar, your BG&E bill is going to go down to because BG&E is still responsible. If the lights go out, you call BG&E. But on that bill, your BG&E bill is going to say credit. So it's going to say on that BG&E bill minus $100 and $200 community solar credit. Now you're going to get a bill from the solar farm that's going to say $200 in solar energy generated for your house. And then it's going to tell your discount. Your discount is 10% for Maryland, or it's going to say 25%. And then it's going to say what you owe is $180.
And that
Okay.
$180 goes on the credit card or the debit card.
It goes on whatever payment you have on file because you can do credit, debit, or checking account.
Oh,
But
okay.
whatever you put on file, and you can update. I tell people you can update it. I have people to update it every month. You can update it every month if you want, but that's what they're going to charge that to.
Okay. So I
Okay.
wanted to say that because so people will know that you use $200, but you billed $180, and that's what goes on the card. Then we pay the 180
Yes.
of that card, and so the $20 difference is the benefit that is ours to do what we decide to do with
Right. And the minimum, remember, in Maryland, it is a minimum 10% and a minimum 25%. So, because a solar farm can generate more.
it. Okay.
And so, in New Jersey, we're seeing 31% savings in some of our areas, right? But the state law for community solar is a minimum. And that
Okay.
minimum is 10%. That minimum is 25%.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. And I always say state law because I just want you to know this is not a think energy. We don't get to control how much you say. We're just facilitating the sign up of the program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Thank you for that.
I think one thing I was thinking too, Julius, is that to give people understanding why, to me, this, and you correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
why you are in place to facilitate our participating in the program. And one of the things I know is that it's very difficult to get to our community. And
Yes.
so this is a way to get to our community so that our community can take advantage of these opportunities. Because other than that, these opportunities come and go, and we don't participate because we don't really trust people to come in, or people don't come in and take the time to make sure that we know about the program. Would you agree with that?
Well, that's really the reason why I created it this way because I've been blessed on the business side. So I know that this company's going to pay out millions of dollars to people, right? And I'm sitting here and I'm saying, wait a minute. And I'm watching, you know, other communities, Jewish communities, really take advantage of it. And I don't hesitate to say that. I mean, some of my friends in the company, they are, when I say proactive, they are talking to families and saying, how can you not keep 10% in your home?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if that 10% is $2, but they are very, very proactive at making sure their families benefit from this program. And so what I want is I want families of where I grew up and who look like me to benefit. And I also want churches who I know are struggling, and I know pastors are going through it just because I grew up in churches, and the pastors don't say it. They do what they got to do. My mother worked and paid and put money in the ministry. My daddy worked and put money in the ministry, and so why wouldn't we take something like this, right, and maximize it? right? And say, look, it is here. We know we can help 1,000 people. Let's scream it to the rooftops and make sure that we can be successful and help our community instead of saying, oh, let's find the one thing that we can poke holes at and not take advantage of because of fear and doubt.
Mhm.
And I'm not minimizing the things that we've been through in the church. I'm not minimizing it, but I also see how, no matter how something can be easy for us to use to help people, we will pause, and sometimes that pause is so long that colleagues in Maryland that don't look like us have put in 10,000 people in their organizations. I don't think we're any different.
Mhm.
I think that our organizations can use that. I think that the nonprofits in Prince George's County, Solid Foundation, I know that Mount Pleasant, I know all the churches that we're talking to can use these resources. And my vision is to run around this country and make sure that we don't make the decision not to do it because we don't have the knowledge.
And then I think
Uh,
too, if I can continue, is that
yeah,
one of the things is that the more people that are informed in our churches, the better.
yes,
So it's one thing when the pastor understands, but if the pastor and the resource team that has been established to work, the leadership team, and then the members understand, because then the members can turn around and help grow the number of members so that the church can benefit to the maximum amount. And I think sometimes we get stuck because we just think one or two, or that's an impossible number. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. That when you
yeah.
say $100,000 or $50,000, people go, that's impossible. But it's not impossible if everybody's rowing in the same direction.
Yeah, and so right now, let's just keep it really simple. So we have families that are for what we're doing right now in Maryland, right? It's BG&E customers that are low to moderate income. So we have members that are on Medicaid. We have some that are Section 8, some that are getting a state food benefit, and so that's nothing to be ashamed of. I grew up in the projects. My whole family, back in the day when there was still a block of cheese, we got it, and so you don't have to wait a long time to see this work, right? So you help one family, they're going to get that 25% discount. The following Friday, the church gets the $200, and then every month after that, the church gets the residual off of that. So 50 members that may need that benefit is $10,000. So we don't have to wait to all these things. Oh, we have to. You don't have to wait because the church will see that result very quickly. But if we do nothing, we won't see that result. Yeah. And so I no thank you, great questions. Any other questions? I definitely want to give people the space to ask. This is a safe place to be able to talk about and let me just Dr. Voigt, thank you for those questions.
You're
Those are great
welcome.
questions. Thank you so much.
I just have a quick question while you're going through the chat.
Yes.
You said that 90% of the panels, the solar farm has to be filled
Yes.
before they begin to get the discount. So how do we
Yes.
know, how is that tracked?
Great question. So just to give you a quick backstory, so the federal government funded this program 2 years ago, and all the states went to get their money, and they built the solar farms. And the solar developers um, were struggling to fill the farms. They did, they would do mailers, they would do all kinds of, knock door knockers, all this thing, and they couldn't fill the solar farms. And so our CEO said, well, what if we built a community that we just go out and educate people? And um, so the farms, when it came to us, there was only two states that we were in. We were in New York and New Jersey, New York and Maine, and we began to educate people at a rate where we were filling up solar farms in about 4 months. And then as more people understood, and for me, it was I wanted to fill all the solar farms with churches. That was just my personal goal. Um, And they said, Julius, I created this flyer, Save and Serve, and I said, I'm going to fill it with churches. That there's enough churches around this country to benefit from this, and so we are now filling up farms. So just to give you, I'm going to be very transparent. Right now, capacity for people who are not LMI in the Pepco market is at zero. So we just filled up everything in Pepco, but we'll be opening up in the next 60 days, roughly another 10,000 homes because the program is popular. There are people that are jumping on the program, but how do you know, like when you're about to go on a farm, when you sign up within anywhere from 4 to 12 weeks, you're going to get a message saying you've been assigned to a farm. Now, for the LMI, low to moderate income residents signing up, it's going to be 4 weeks. So from the time they sign, it'll be 4 weeks before they get onto a farm. But the actual initial donation to the church happens the following Friday. So you don't wait until they get on the farm until that starts. And the residual starts before they get onto a farm. But the way they know is that they'll get a message. And typically we know when it'll be a large group of people that go at once. People will start getting letters in your church and that they're going into a farm and everything else. But we know because we're tracking capacity and we let our pastors and our members know. But it's usually anywhere from between 4 to 12 weeks. It would be almost like if you, for folks who get solar panels, only 10% of the country can get solar panels because you got to own a home. And everything. But when you get solar panels, you got to get an installation date. Then after you get your installation date, you got to, wait for them to turn on, you got to get the permit to do all those things. So it's kind of like that, but you don't necessarily you don't have any solar panels that get put on your home. But once you're on the farm, you're on the farm for 25 years.
Okay. And if you have family, I saw the map. So if you have family
Yes.
in areas that were not highlighted, for instance, South Carolina, North Carolina, Florida,
Yep.
they wouldn't be able to participate.
They wouldn't be able to participate as customers yet.
Okay.
What we do have, because we have that, I have a large amount of folks a lot of pastors who are in states. Actually, Sister Linda, I don't think I saw her one, Linda Washington. She's in Georgia, and her pastor is in Georgia, and she's actually the church is signed up, but her pastor knows pastors in Maryland and other places. So under her church's program, she's just talking to other pastors, and it's actually able to generate a monthly residual for the church, even though the church is in the state that's not open yet.
Wow.
So yes, so imagine. So let's give an example. So I was on the phone with, I don't know if Paul Randall's on. Paul is from Maryland. Paul is out in California right now, and Paul has had me on with a few pastors from around the area, and in California. But those pastors are like, well, we know California is coming. We see them on the map. But what if we shared this with pastors we know in New Jersey, in Maryland, and that has opened the door for now that church in California would get a residual off of those churches they're helping in Maryland. So we share it with everybody, and as states open, we can sign customers in those states. And then the kind of close out your question is, what if my church is in Maryland, but I have family members in New Jersey?
Okay.
So you know how if I don't know if churches do, like, I know some churches for fundraisers may do, like, I know schools do like popcorn, right? Or pizzas or stuff like that. So if I was at my church and my church was doing a fundraiser for the youth, right, and we were selling popcorn, I could call Dr. Voigt in New Jersey, and I would ask her to buy popcorn for our fundraiser. Well, as long as Dr. Voigt is in a state that we're open in, I can call her and say, hey, look, in New Jersey, it looks like you can save 20% on your energy. It would help our church. Let me send you this overview and then a link where you can actually help us out by saving. And now your family members can now support your Maryland church's community energy program. So people in any of the states we're in can actually join your church's program So a church that maybe have 100 members could have 1,000 people in their program.
Awesome. Thank you.
No, thank you. Great
Mr.
questions.
Weems,
Thank you
I
so
have
much.
another question. All
Yes,
great
ma'am.
information. So thanks for sharing. I heard you mention BGE and Pepco during the entire call. Now I'm a Smecco
Yes,
customer.
Smecco. All
So
my Smecco folks are coming on. I got churches down in Smecco. Oh my God. So
okay.
look to all of my Smecco people because all my people are down there. I'm telling you, all of y'all are down there and y'all have y'all beautiful homes and all electricity. But Smecco is a co-op. And Smecco buys all this energy and produces all this energy down there. And so it is not they don't let anybody in community solar. They don't take, even the federal programs, but SMECO has not opened themselves up for this program. But because so many people live down, I think La Plata, when you get down past Waldorf, right? Um, you know, down in that area, we do have churches down there that are in the program, but their members live a little further back near Waldorf, up in Marlboro. And so, no, you cannot be a customer, but you can, your church can or organization can support down there. And then you would have to bring the customers from BG&E and Pepco. But great question. Thank you to all
Okay,
of my Smecco people. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
yeah, and
Sorry.
you know what, Mr. Weems, actually, so I think so we are talking about churches, and I would love to share this information with my ministry, with my church home. But you're gonna laugh. Actually, that was a question for my personal
I'm
personal
sorry.
savings.
I'm
But I
sorry.
do believe
I
the
just took
ministry.
25 years of savings from you. I'm sorry.
I know, no, it's all good. I do think the ministry, though, that they are probably receiving their energy bills through either Pepco or BGE. So this will
Yeah.
still benefit the ministry, which
And I
this
want
is what this is all about.
it is. It is. And I want to tell you that if your churches I know some churches plant other churches. I know Reverend Johnson has planted churches. I will share with you every state has a different their laws on the savings are different. So right now I'm going to be very transparent. New Jersey has the largest savings. So if your church has a planted church or a partner church in the New Jersey area, New Jersey is a 20% savings for 20 years. And they are a unified billing market. So all someone needs is a bill, is their bill. They don't need the debit card or credit card. So if your church is in Maryland, but you have a partner church in New Jersey, it's a great way to connect the two. And I've been trying to let my pastors know, just because it's a very popular market. So, but thank you, everybody. This recording actually, I'm going to do this recording tonight. I actually streamed on YouTube. So I'm actually going to put the link to this into the chat so that you can actually go back and look at it. And we will also post the call from earlier today there as well. So I'm going to post this in the chat and give everybody a few minutes to copy and paste that. That'll be this call, and it will be there on YouTube for you to use and share. And if you have questions, please give it the person that invited you. I'm available to do private calls. I know some pastors don't want to ask their questions, live on a meeting, but I'm happy to speak with you. And again, to my co-host who has dedicated so much time to me today, I want to thank you, Reverend Dr. Diane Johnson. I appreciate you for taking the time and just being a huge support of this program. We have 4 weeks in Maryland to fill up the farm with 750 low to moderate income families. If you have family members, if you have people that are in your church that have some of those qualifications, we will make sure we get those out to you. Primarily, it's going to be Section 8. They get a food benefit, Medicaid, or their kids get discounted lunch. They would fall under that program. And if anybody needs help, please reach out to me. We will make sure we're available to support you. Okay.
Okay.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for joining us. Have
Thank
a